Hey there, it's Jim and Debbie with another episode of the Midday Minute. And Debbie, if seven is magic, then this episode is doubly so.
Double magic. 7-7.
The two sevens right there. It's episode 77 of the big show. And in this episode, it's first of all, we're coming out a little bit late, near the end of May. It's been a little bit hard to get this scheduled because we've been incredibly busy. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. We're going to look back to April. And Debbie, why does that have me thinking about Dickens? You're familiar with Dickens, right? The author?
I am. Great Expectations. I don't know what.
Well, I'm going to say that April was the best of times, but also the worst of times.
Why the worst of times?
It's a little bit of hyperbole, but there's a lot going on. First of all, of course, we close our fiscal year on March 31st. So the first couple of weeks in April are incredibly busy as we're wrapping things up, donations coming in. And let me just real briefly touch on the year we had. Prior to the year ending March of 2022, we had never raised more than $7 million in a fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
And we blew past that in 2022, all the way up to 7.7 million, just crushed our previous high. This year, it was looking like in that last quarter of the fiscal year, it was looking like we had a chance at breaking the $8 million barrier. Just a year of crossing 7 million for the first time, and we got close. We fell about $150,000 short, but still, what a year we're having! And a lot of that success, I think, we have to attribute to our growing Fidelity Club, which provides such a reliable base of support now, a large reliable base of support. It's a good foundation for our fundraising efforts. And just let's think back to 2018, 5 years ago, the Elks were celebrating their sesquicentennial. And at that point, we had fewer than 2,000 Fidelity Club donors, sustaining givers, whose monthly donations totaled less than $450,000. That's when we really started to make a concerted effort to grow the Fidelity Club. We were trying to grow it by 150% for the 150th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And our target was 5% of our donor base as sustaining givers. Well, fast forward to 2023, we now have more than 6,100 monthly givers. And their donations total $1.1 million a year, which is it's a great base for our fundraising.
Yeah.
For success, where we can challenge these records and push to uncharted territory for us.
Incredible. And wasn't it just like a few months ago we had 5,000? Like that's how the exponential growth that we've had. It's amazing. Amazing. I have to say too, it's just so easy. You sign up and then you don't have to worry about it. And you're supporting our great programs every month.
So administratively, it's easier for us too, because we don't have to say thank you as much. But I want to say thank you right now. If you're watching this, if you're a Fidelity Club donor, thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
It really means a lot. It sets us up for success every year and provides us with resources with which we can use to expand our outstanding programs. More on that in a moment.
Momentarily.
Yeah.
Seriously, thank you.
So we got close to the 8 million mark. It was really a great year. Fell a little bit short, but we're going to be back at it this year, hoping to top that $8 million mark and continuing to grow the Fidelity Club.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
That's always exciting when we close the year. We see all those donations pouring in March and counting them all up and seeing how high we'll go. But there's just a lot of end of year work that goes with that, wrapping up our reports. And then once we get all that done, then we have to start flipping the switch so that on May, when we close April, we're ready to launch our reports for the new fiscal year.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of upkeep and maintenance and just work.
I know we talk about this a lot on the Minute, but we do a lot and we have a really small staff. And so a lot of these things happen, but it does take time. And we have 19 full-time staff?
Yeah, well, even
So,
when we closed April and we launched our reports and we were ready to launch the chair challenge, we realized some of the stuff some of the upkeep hadn't been done. So we're updating that on the fly, and then we hear from people who say, "Oh, this is wrong, this is wrong." We're like, "Thank God they're checking," because
yeah,
we're able to find things and
yeah.
fix on the fly, and we think everything's right with the chair challenge. But we know that by March 31st of 2024, everything's going to be right with the chair challenge. There might be other things we have to update along the way. There's just a lot to do, and we have a lot of plates in the air um, right now. And against that backdrop, so we're closing the fiscal year,
Hmm.
and we're trying to get ready for the launch of the New Year's reports, and of course the two programmatic events that we're going to talk about in a moment. Against that backdrop, in comes the auditor. And we're
Yep,
really trying to wrap up our audit um, so that we have a completed audit report for the convention.
by
That's
convention.
our goal. Last year, you know, it took a little bit longer than that. We want to stay on track, but that means that when we get an email from the auditor, you drop everything and you answer it. And
Hmm.
there are a lot of emails from the auditors. Not that there's
Hmm.
anything wrong, but there's just so
No,
much
they're
for them to look
questions.
at. They
Yeah.
have questions. They want to know why we are spending more money on the hoop shoot this year than last year. How do we explain that? Why is this happening? Why don't we have the year-end numbers yet for this certain type of investment, and all kinds of stuff coming in, and things that we have to answer, and meetings we have to attend, and uh, it's
April
a lot.
is a lot.
It's a
Um,
beast, and a lot of that, and I say again, that a lot of that is the worst of times. Not really, because it's work that makes
right,
you feel
right,
good,
right,
but
right,
it's not the fun stuff. The fun stuff, the best of
right.
times, are those programmatic things that are happening. And shall we pivot to that? Are we
I
ready?
think that's I
So the
think that's a
first
great segue into what we wanted to just talk about in episode 77. We had mentioned in 76, I think when we were signing off, we said, we'll see you on the other side. And we are firmly on the other side. But wanted to just highlight both the big events and mention also, all that's going on with what you just talked about. Our largest program, the Community Investments Program, also starts on April 1st with the new fiscal year, is the new lodge grant year. So that's
I'd
also,
like to get those applications in on April 1st, right?
that's right, midnight. I always check. There's always some.
It's not
Um,
first come first serve here at the Elks National Foundation, but you wouldn't know it if you
right.
checked our mailbox on April 1st, right?
Right. So that's happening. And of course, that second weekend of April saw our return to an in-person leadership weekend. Um, it had been since 2019 that we had an in-person leadership weekend, and it was amazing to be back in person, having 20 scholars fly in from across the country to be with us in Chicago the weekend of, I think it was April 13th through the 16th. Um, it's just magical. It's magical to get these scholars together and just watch them connect with one another, connect with the Elks. It
It's
really reminded me of the first time we did it, which was 2014 when we had our
Yeah,
first leadership weekend. Just the way we felt about it, just witnessing it. It's really something, and
it's
it was
awesome. Yeah, it's inspirational. It recharges your batteries, especially, and it comes at a great time, right? In the beginning of April, mid-April, when all this other stuff's going on, and you're just feeling beaten down by everything coming across your desk, and then
right.
then you spend some time with the scholars. It's so inspirational, recharges our batteries, but it's also humbling because they're just so accomplished and impressive.
It's really
I want
unbelievable.
to be them when I grow up.
I mean, seriously, they're obviously graduating seniors. Um, and they have not international nonprofits, or they've, raised so much money to buy supplies and things for the community. They basically are like what our lodges do with our grants. They're doing also on a, sometimes smaller scale for their community, collecting supplies, giving them to people experiencing homelessness or people, just people who need them. We had one of the scholars with us from a small town in Indiana. She raises Nigerian dwarf goats. What? How fun is that?
Yep. Also makes soap, and she came with little bars of soap for everybody.
She did. We should actually, that should be a requirement. Everybody should bring some gifts. Just
right.
kidding.
What is the offering?
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Right. But yeah, Thursday night, you played a big role in Thursday night.
One of the most popular events at the Leadership Weekend at Lead 10.
That's right, Jim. I think it was all about you.
Thursday night game night, hosted by McKenna Cannon, Nup,
right? That's right. So everybody's obviously traveling. All 20 are coming from, everybody flew in on Thursday. And so Thursday night, we really just want to set the stage of relaxed, fun, get to know each other, right? And as you said, it really was one of the highlights of the weekend. What games did you play?
My table, I was facilitating plays of the game Wavelength, which is a party game where you're trying to get on the same wavelength as your teammates. It was a lot of fun.
And did you get on the same wavelength?
I thought my clues were pretty good. I'm not going to go into them now, but basically the way the game works is you have this card that's a spectrum, and it might be, for example, light and dark, or good and evil, or underrated to overrated. And then you've got this little dial on the spectrum that you can see, but your teammates can't. And you see where the dial, where there's a scoring wedge. And now I'm trying to give a clue that will allow my teammates to turn the dial to the scoring wedge that they can't see.
Oh, sounds complicated.
It's not complicated. It's fun. It's fun and funny. And we all had a good time playing Wavelength.
Great. Yeah, and so there were 3 different tables, different games being played.
4 stations, I think, weren't there? I think there were 4. Maybe there was
maybe there's 4. I don't know, but it started off with everybody was kind of assigned to one of the tables, one of the groups, and then it was kind of just free form after that.
I think we had code names going on in another table. We had Mario Karts going on with Switch, and then we had
the Switch was independent. Yeah, right.
Uno,
cool.
Which I said, as puns are to humor, Uno is to board games.
Yeah, I can see that for you.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Everybody had a great time doing that. And then Friday, everybody headed up to the memorial building. Got a opportunity to see the splendor of the Elks Memorial. And we do a scavenger hunt, which is really fun. We team up the scholars, and they just run around the rotunda and the reception hall and the building, just trying to find clues, find answers to the questions for the scavenger hunt. So that's super, super fun. Obviously, if you've been to the memorial, you know how glorious it is. But it's more to establish just the rich history of the Elks and, who we are and what we do. And it's a fun way to introduce the scholars to that. Then everybody went over to a nonprofit organization in our Chicago community called Cradles to Crayons and help sort through clothes. They serve kids birth to 12 years old and giving them what they need to be successful in school. And so there's a whole bunch of clothing donations that the group sorted through, and that was fantastic. They really, it means a lot. As we said, they're service-minded. We're looking for service-minded scholars, of course, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've participated in the type of service that we set up for them. So a couple of the scholars had mentioned how much they really enjoyed that, getting to know more about Cradles to Crayons and then just participating in that activity. So that was pretty cool. Friday nights, again, just more of an opportunity to, provide the scholars with just the flavor of, Chicago. And we had Sherman Dilla Thomas, he's an urban historian, come and talk to the group, just to tell them about all the amazing things Chicago has to offer. And I don't remember his exact tagline, but it's something like, everything that's amazing in this world comes from Chicago. So he talked to the scholars about that, just really kind of, down and dirty sort of talk about the coolness of Chicago. And then of course, Saturday, big day for the leadership weekend, which is each of the finalists interviews with a panel of judges, telling their story, who they are. And then from there, it's just more programming. But the cherry on top of the leadership weekend Sunday is a dinner cruise on Lake Michigan with a DJ and dancing, and really a great time had by all. It's always one of the most fun things that the scholars do. And, they had the most fun during the weekend at that event. It's pretty cool also because several, I think 3 this year, actually missed their prom to come to the leadership weekend. And so the cruise is dancing and just a fun time. They can really just let off steam and be, high school seniors. We had, of course, Sean Loosely with us again this year. Sean was the 2003 top winner. And he is quite the dancer. So he was, I think, leading the charge to the dance floor. So that's Sean. I should also say we had 2 scholar leaders who were absolutely amazing. Our scholar advisory board president, Kat Nakamura, came in from San Diego area to be a leader. And
San Diego State, go Aztecs.
Yeah, San Diego State. And then Tanner Christensen, who's from Provo, Utah, which is where Sean Loosely is actually a member. And Tanner goes to Stanford and is just nonstop fun as well. So both Kat and Tanner were excellent scholar leaders, role models, and just sounding boards for the scholars as they head off to college. Bryce Caswell, Sean's counterpart in 2003 top winner. And then Jay Little Cunningham also with us, 2016 top winner.
Right.
They serve on the panels on Saturday morning and then serve as role models through the rest of the weekend for the scholars. So super fun. It doesn't end there though, right? They come back from the dinner cruise. We do a final reflection, and then it's just more games, which is also, you joined us again for that, right?
Yeah, Sean and I were up pretty late playing games, and then I finally tapped out, and Sean stayed up even later playing games.
He's something.
We played Celebrity, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, and they were playing musical chairs at one point, and then some other game, like, I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but it was musical chairs adjacent. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to watch. And we so appreciate, of course, Sean, staying up late and continuing the engagement. And of course, you coming in and being a part of that as well. You can imagine, some of us had been up since 6 a.m. There's so many different activities and events that we have to schedule. So it's nice to be able to hand the baton off to sit, to be like, let's continue.
Right.
We don't want to stop the fun because staff is tired, right?
Right, exactly.
So the leadership weekend is magical. You can read about it on our website. I'm sure we'll put a link somewhere. There's a nice recap, pictures, all that.
And make no mistake, viewer, and hopefully you recognize and connect that, we spent much more time talking about everything that's happening adjacent to the interviews and beneath the surface, because the interviews, although that's the reason why we have gathered, is to figure out how to award the top 6 scholarships, is the least important thing that's happening there in terms of our objective for the scholarship program.
Agreed.
What we're trying to do is build a network of scholars who identify as Elk scholars.
Right.
That's our goal. That's what we're
That's
trying
our
to do with
goal.
the scholarship program. And the leadership weekend is probably the flagship effort of that effort, but also service trips, meetups that happen on college campuses, all these things. Every time we can bring scholars together and they can bond with one another, forge relationships, that they connect with the Elks, it strengthens this brand, strengthens that identity, and lifts our organization up.
Absolutely. And there are two great examples of that happen almost immediately after the leadership weekend, which was Sean Loosely, as I mentioned, and Tanner, who Sean got his master's degree at Stanford and lives in Palo Alto area. And Tanner Christensen goes to Stanford. Well, it turns out like 4 or 5 of the 20 also are going to Stanford or are considering Stanford for the fall. And Sean and Tanner and another, I can't remember her year, but another top 20, Lucia, maybe she was 18, 19, I can't remember, but the 3 of them hosted several of the top 20 on campus at Stanford, just to show them around and to just continue to strengthen that relationship.
And
so
we didn't
cool.
facilitate that. That just
Nope.
happened organically because of the relationships and the connections these students forge when we bring them together.
That's right. And of course, Sean being Sean, he's so amazing, sends us, pictures throughout the meeting. So that was great.
Right.
There was another example and it just kind of left my head, so I don't remember. But suffice it to say, it's great. Connections are being made, and it's fantastic.
So you guys got about 2 days of rest, and then it was back to the Hilton Chicago for,
I don't remember.
The
Right, back to back, the white whale. We caught it. It was amazing. It was the Elks Hoop Shoot National Finals, and yeah, back to back big events. One's smaller, one's much larger, but they're both very big in terms of their undertaking.
Right.
Yeah, so that happened. We had 72 finalists and their families, and lots of Elks guests come in from all over the country for the big event, which was Saturday at Wintrust Arena, the 2023 National Finals. Jim, you were behind the scenes doing the live stream. You want to talk a little bit about that?
We had 2 live streams this year. We did a live stream last year working with the team at Wintrust, who cover, Chicago Sky games and the Paul Blue Demons games. They know what they're doing. So I paired up with a former hoop shoot participant, Lakin Boltz, a 2006 champion from the girls 8-9 division. And the 2 of us last year, we picked a contest in each age group and we covered it. And, it was a broadcast. This year we wanted to do 2 live streams. So if you were tuning in and you had a participant who you were following, who you were interested in, you could watch them compete in one of the 2 broadcasts. And our second team this year was Bart Powell, son of the legend Getty Powell, national director of the Hoop Shoot, and then Zeb Alford, Elks Hoop Shoot Hall of Famer, who won the longest shoot off in Hoop Shoot history at 15 extra rounds in 2009, boys 12-13. And that live stream was produced by our partners for most of the films we're doing, a group called Folio in Chicago. And they really stepped it up. I think clearly the A team, as far as the broadcasters were concerned, were Lakin and myself.
Of course.
The Folio really stepped up, like the production of the camera work and the graphics were amazing on the boys' pod.
Yeah.
Lakin and I did the girls, and Bart and Zeb did the boys, and a lot of people tuning in.
A lot, so many people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people tuning in to each of the live streams during the contest, which is amazing. And now, I think we saw this last year as well, that the numbers just keep going up because, people go back and revisit it. Now they're in the thousands, which is huge numbers for us. So a lot of really great, and a great way to capture the moments and to be able to do, have commentary. It's a lot like a golf tournament, right? Like there's a lot of quiet time,
it's very difficult to cover 3 contests. So, it's about 6 hours, a little bit less, of being on the air talking about free throws. And, Lake and Zeb on the other stream can provide the, they were in the shoes of the finalists, so they can provide that sort of insight. And Bart and I have been around the hoop shoot for a long, long time, and we can talk about history and tell you what's going on, what you can see, and talk, break down what's happening in terms of the competition. And it's fun. It's just, by that 12, 13, there's a lot of silence.
Yeah.
A lot of things to say. So I don't know, next year, maybe we work in another team, a third team, and kind of rotate it around a little bit to contest or something like that.
Yeah, we're already talking about that. What's really, really, really cool for me is I remember sitting in the bleachers at Western New England University way back in the day, and you and Bart talking about this as like almost like a fantasy, right? Like this could never happen, but wouldn't it be great if it could?
Right.
And it's too bad that you and Bart couldn't be on the same stream, but there's reason you're right, for the reasons that we just talked about. You weren't, but to have you both doing the coverage, so cool. We're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to, make it even better. So that's really exciting. And it's a great weekend. They can't say more about how amazing.
I'm not going to go as far as I did with the leadership weekend. Obviously, the centerpiece of the Hoop Shoot Finals weekend is the finals, whereas with the leadership weekend, it's not. The interviews are not the centerpiece of the weekend, right?
Right.
But there were some other cool things that were going on that weekend. Like we did the service activity on
Thursday night,
where people brought in goods for something.
They brought in non-perishable. They brought in non-perishable, food that we collected for the local. It's affiliated with the VA, with the Jesse Brown VA, and in doing so, they had an opportunity to win a prize through the service scrimmage that was happening throughout the weekend on the Hoop Shoot app, on the event app, which was really cool. So there was that. They packed 300 care kits or snack packs for that group, for that organization.
It's a way for us to share our Elks values with these participants and expose them to some of the other things that the Elks do as an organization. Obviously, they're familiar with the Hoop Shoot, but they may not be as familiar with some of the other things we do. And so this is an opportunity to correct that, tell them a little bit more about the Elks, and let them participate in service with us.
That's right.
Friday was the Fun Fest. This year we were at Soldier Field where the Bears play and the Chicago Fire play. And we had dinner there, and we had the finalists trading cards. Images were on the Jumbotrons there, which is pretty cool.
That was really neat.
Awesome, Soldier Field. And we had Staley, the Bears mascot, made an appearance. And
yes, he did. The kids seeing their trading. First of all, the trading cards are
a huge hit every year.
Biggest hit of the weekend, right? And to see them at an NFL stadium on those huge jumbotrons was so cool. They were down there taking pictures of them, waiting for it to cycle through. So that was really fun. What then, of course, the contest, we talked about the contest.
The Ward's Banquet, I think,
Ward's Banquet also is a nice.
Fantastic this year.
Yeah, she was great. Sarah Spain from ESPN, really wonderful.
McKenna as the MC was great. We had several members of the backboard.
We had 10 members of the backboard with
routine, basically, which was kind of fun to warm the crowd up. And
they were great.
They were great. So yeah, Sarah Spain was the keynote speaker. She was fantastic.
Mhm.
Oh, we had another speaker earlier in the weekend.
We did Friday afternoon. We had a speaker talk about grit. So it's kind of like preaching to the choir. But Dr. Lauren Escrease Winkler came and spoke for about 45 minutes to a pretty big crowd, just
Mhm.
about bouncing back, despite failure and perseverance. And
Right.
again, preaching to the choir. It was great. And the volunteers, I think,
Well, I
really
think
got a
that's
lot out of it.
we really need to hear the message, because we've been trying to change the way the Elks as an organization talks about the Hoop Shoot program. We've been trying
Right.
for the past 5 or 6 years or so.
Right.
And this helps having Dr. S. Grease Winkler
Mhm.
talk to the volunteers.
Yeah, they got a
Sarah
lot of it.
really wrapped a bow on it. She tailored her entire speech on Saturday night. Really was framed around grit, and I love the
Mhm.
way she talked about it.
Yeah, she was great. If you did your best, right? If you can look back and say, I
It's about,
did my
yeah,
best,
and
that's
really focus on the
great.
not giving up, because I think we can jump to the being, grit as an indicator of future success. We can jump to the success, right?
Mhm.
Grit makes us more successful, but how you get there, what makes you gritty is not giving up and constantly pivoting, right? And
Right.
moving forward. And there was just a wonderful example of that I want to share from the girls 12-13 contest. Bree Bessinen, she won girls 8-9 in 2019. Last year, she won the girls 12-13, and she came back and she had an opportunity to be only the 6th person in the history of the hoop shoot to successfully defend a title. We've had people win back-to-back, other people win back-to-backs, but they're in different divisions. So
Mhm.
she had the opportunity to become the 6th person in the history of the hoop shoot to successfully defend. But even more impressive, only the 2nd person in hoop shoot history to win 3 national titles. That was on the line for her going into the weekend. She was shooting very early in the shooting order, 2nd or 3rd, and she hit 8 out of 10 in her first round of 10, right? And the girl shooting first was 10 out of 10, perfect. And the girl shooting first comes up for the 2nd set of 15 and is perfect. So Bree, when she steps up to the line right after that, or shortly after that,
Mhm.
knows that her quest is
Yeah.
over. She
Yeah.
cannot defend her title. She will not win a 3rd national championship. Did she give up? No. She pivoted and said, I'm going to try to win one of the two trophies that are in play, right? 2nd or 3rd place. And she nailed 15 out of 15, and that ended up holding up. It was good enough for 3rd place. So that is what grit is all about. That is
Right.
grit, right?
Digging deep.
Yeah, digging deep. You can't win,
Good.
but what can you do?
You're right. Right.
So
Oh, I have chills.
yeah,
She's great.
yep,
I mean, also if that's we talked a lot about the Cogills and their dynasty. That Bessinen's
yeah.
also a hoop shoot dynasty.
And let's, can't talk about this year's hoop shoot without mentioning Tommy Goodell either. 4 straight appearances in the national finals. He finished 3rd, boys 8-9 in 2013. The virtual conclusion to 2020, he was perfect in boys 10-11, and then won a shoot off to win that championship. Last year in boys 12-13, he lost a shootout for 3rd place to finish 4th, and then bounces back this year with another perfect score to win his 2nd hoop shoot championship. So
yeah.
what a way to go out, right?
What a way to go out.
And then cool story is,
Yeah.
his idol, he's from the same neck of the woods as another former hoop shoot champion who has gone on to even bigger and better things. Joseph Girard III, who's a standout player with the Syracuse Orange. And
Tommy,
is at the airport.
we know that he's
he
he's
idolizes
an idol. He idolizes him, right? That's his idol. Okay.
Now Tommy's won a championship.
Right. He's leaving Chicago
He's
riding
at
high.
the airport. He's got his trophy, And then who approaches because he recognizes the trophy? Joseph Girard III. And so Tommy gets to pose for a picture and meet his idol. And
what are the chances?
Yeah, so
that was meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
It was a magical year for Tommy that just was, keeps getting better.
Yeah. So awesome. So much fun. And if people are interested in reading more, please go to our website. We've got stories, we've got pictures, we've got videos. So much content. You'll feel as good about it as we do. And then of course it goes without saying, after we wrapped up Poop Shoot, we came back and then it was time to announce our 350 Legacy Awards recipients for 2023. So that was kind of the last component of April that happened, but equally as important. If you're interested in seeing that list,
it was April's nightcap.
What?
It was April's nightcap.
Yes, it was April's nightcap.
Yeah,
there you go. Again, all of it is online for your eyes to look at, review and read and watch and all of that. So,
and we hope you will.
So much. And we hope you will. Yes, for sure.
Go ahead. I was about to wrap it up, but go ahead.
I was going to say this short hop on to talk about the events is
rather long.
Well, it's just exciting to talk about, to relive.
It really is. We started out by talking about our fundraising year and, obviously gave well-deserved kudos to our Fidelity Club members. But when we talk about our programs and we share these stories and the work that we do as Elks, it makes it's easy to understand why we've been so successful raising funds. All this stuff works together, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's what people are investing in when they give us their hard-earned money. It's these programs.
Right. Yeah, indeed. So next month, episode 78, we are going to talk about convention.
Yeah, we're gonna look forward to
that's gonna be here in one blink of an eye.
Yep, that's coming. That's on its way. Can't wait.
Can't wait. So we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll have Kate on as a guest, our events manager, walk us through everything. But that's about it, I think.
She's very knowledgeable. Sounds like a bag of cats when she talks, but she's super knowledgeable.
Bringing it back. Yeah. That's a throwback to our podcast days.
We used to get lots of complaints whenever we had Kate on there.
Jesus. Well, Kate, if you've made it this far in our little show, sorry.
Right. All right. Then without further ado, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks for your support. We really appreciate it. And so do all the people who benefit from our programs, who attend these fabulous events. Because it wouldn't happen without you.
That's right.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the Midday Minute, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't, and I can't imagine why, but maybe, thumbs down. Either way, share it far and wide so everybody will learn about the work that the Elks are doing. If you're not already subscribing to our YouTube channel, do it right now. Hit the button. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. While you're at it, smash that bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content. And there is so much content coming down the pike. You're not going to want to miss it.
Don't miss it.
Next time, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.